everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Sterling Live. My name is Caitlin Brower. I am Sterling's social media manager, and Sterling Live is our weekly live series where we come at you with such great content, great thought leadership, all things about Sterling. We talk about other things too, just background screening, identity, human resources, other things just going on in the space. So we are so happy to be back again for another episode. As you can see above me, I've got two amazing guests with me, and we'll go ahead and get into it and introduce these two individuals. So today I have with me Jenna Gardner, director. Ooh, sorry, that was a huge echo. My bad. I'm going to go ahead and fix that real quick. So as I said, was screaming at you guys with that huge echo. One of our guests today is Jenna Gardner, director, employee experience, and we also have new to Sterling Live, Ashley Hollender, people experience partner. So thank you both for joining me today. And our topic, as you can see below, we're talking about employee appreciation today. And we're going to talk about all the ways that we celebrate Team Sterling, not just one day, not just 1 month, but all year round, how we do celebrate our employees. So I do want to take a minute real quick and just let Jenna and Ashley introduce themselves to our audience. So Jenna, you are no stranger to Sterling Live, but in case some newbies are tuning in today, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Yes, no stranger indeed. So I am Jenna Gardner. I'm Director of Employee Experience at Sterling. I've been here for over 5 years now, which is crazy. And my role is really about defining what the employee experience is, how people experience Sterling, and our employment brand and our communication strategy to really help continue to shape our really strong virtual culture.
Well, thank you as always for joining us on Sterling Live. You are a great guest. That's why this has been like your 100th episode, I think. Now, we haven't made it to 100 episodes yet, but I do know you will keep tallying away those episodes with us for sure. Ashley, thank you for joining us for the first time on Sterling Live. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Ashley Hollender. And I've been here for just over 2 years, which is crazy. I just was thinking the other day that's gone by so fast. And I work in employee experience, focusing on Sterling, which is our company intranet, and also our internal communications, all as a means of supporting our overall employee experience here at Sterling. And I think, for a lot of people, it's easy to just create like a communications relaying a message to employees. But in my role, I'm really thinking about the right tone, the message that's going to come across to employees, the branding, et cetera, and kind of tying that all together.
Absolutely. And I know we're getting into a lot, in, today's episode, but I do love that, both of you bring up the idea of experience. It's in both of your titles. Jenna and I spoke real quick before the show, but like looking into that HR, focus and how, things are no longer just transactional. It really is about the experience and end to end, what you're giving to your employees, what value are you providing them? So I do love that just so far within 1 minute, the two of you have brought up experience and we're going to talk about that a lot.
We must care about it.
We're definitely going to talk about it a lot on today's episode. Because there's a lot of experiences that, you do provide every employee at Sterling. So we're definitely going to dig into those. Just so our audience knows, if you are watching live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube right now, you can ask questions live throughout the show. I am moderating them, so please ask Jenna or Ashley any questions you may have around this topic. I'll get them over to the two of them as I see fit throughout the show, but please go ahead in the comment section across these platforms and enter any questions, comments you may have. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first, topic I want to discuss is how Sterling, we take a unique approach to employee appreciation. So Jenna, I'm going to start with you. Can you explain the importance of Sterling's approach to employee appreciation?
Yeah, definitely. I love that question because I think it's really important to the experience once again. So I think, most companies focus on the day. There is an employee experience day, and we really celebrate each other, and we try to make it really great with all these snacks and thank you notes and appreciation walls. And it is great, but I think the one thing that Sterling does really well is create a campaign for the entire month of March to really get us to that next level. They say it takes 21 days to create a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's nice that we're able to really flex our muscle for, a whole month around what it means to be appreciative of one another, to give thanks to one another in a different way. And I love that Sterling dedicates a whole month to that. So I do think that is unique in having that, 4-week experience.
Absolutely. And many people watching right now, think back to an employee appreciation day you had, to where, someone had sent you a note, you had, these cool little gifts or things that you did. You played games, you just did cool things. For me, someone reaching out and just giving you a piece of gratitude always makes me feel great. So think about that day and how great you felt. Imagine if now that is now a month long, but that month then turns into a year. And these practices are just evergreen. They're always going on. And that, idea of appreciation is everywhere. So I love our unique approach to things, because you're taking such a great moment, a one singular thing, and just expanding on it and making it all the time and making it the norm. And again, it makes people feel good. So just timesing that by a million. So absolutely love that for sure. So I want to look into how we're doing it this year, because, things, do change. I know, Jenna, you were on the episode last year where we spoke about this, and it was that main idea of that shift to virtual, and really trying to understand how you can still make an impact, even not in person. So that is our norm now. That is our everyday. So, but there's still things that are shifting. There's still things that are adapting, whether you are virtual, you're back in the office, things like that. So I do want to talk about how we're showing, our appreciation in 2022 so far. So, Jenna, can you explain our approach to, we're doing things like thank yous and shout outs? Can you explain what that is and our approach to it?
Yeah, for sure. So in line with what we did last year, we enabled thank you badges through Workday, which is really just that, it's an experience between two people, right? Thank you for this. And they get to be appreciative of each other. So we still have that. We did some 2,500 thank you badges just within March last year. So we're hoping to beat that number. And we have a few strategies around that. And then, I think, you talk about evolving with the times, whether you're in office or not. But I think, one of the things Ashley and I realized in all of this was okay, so we have thank you badges, which is between two people. How do we make it a little more global? And that's when we decided that creating a word cloud would be a fun way to get people engaged in that. And it's pretty much where everybody enters words and it becomes this cloud. And the more words people say that are similar, it becomes bigger and bigger, which is a really fun experience. So that is, we're able to see that globally. And I think the question we asked was what are we grateful for at Sterling? So everybody's kind of contributing that to a global sense of appreciation. So that's what we've decided to do this year. And I'm sure next year it'll be slightly different, but
slightly.
Slightly.
Yeah, slightly. Always, that's the thing that I think we've learned over the past year or so, is that, everything's adapting and we're shifting and coming up with new things. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. We have to look at things differently, and it's new ideas, new practices, things like that. I love a good word cloud, and I definitely want to dive into that a little bit deeper. But Ashley, do you have any examples of, some of the thank yous that we've seen so far? Because I must say, I've gotten a couple, and again, they just make my day, and it's just the best thing ever. So I would love to see what other people are getting. So some examples.
Yeah, so we have some really great thank you submissions coming through. And I know, to your point, I love getting it in my inbox. You always feel really good when you get that thank you. It can be something short and sweet, still feels great. So a couple examples are, let's see, we have one that says, thank you for being an incredible mentor to me these last 2 years. I continue to learn from you on a daily basis. Your leadership and feedback has allowed me to grow and stretch myself here at Sterling. So truly, thank you. I appreciate you every day. Really great. Awesome message. Another great one, a little shorter, but just really still a great message. Thank you for being such an awesome team member. I'm very grateful to have someone as passionate as you on our team. So they're all really heartwarming like that, honestly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys behind the scenes are probably seeing all of this. And you're like, this is great. You guys just smiling ear to ear the entire month of March. But I love, looking at the context of like, a longer one and then a shorter one, because they still hit so positively on all levels. I had shared something on LinkedIn about a week or so ago. One of my connections just saying, like, if you really appreciate working with someone, or like you want to show that you're grateful for work that they did, just tell them. And this is like a great avenue to really get that out there. And maybe it's a little more formal of a way doing it like this, as opposed to like a quick thank you on Teams or a quick phone call, things like that. But I love this opportunity because it gets you to like sit down and like your brain starts working a little bit. You pull out prime examples to thank someone. So yeah. I thought those examples were really, really awesome. Going back to the word cloud, like I said, I love a good word cloud. I know we use it a lot in marketing techniques, like looking at things. I love bringing it in from a people perspective. So back on the examples, Ashley, what was the question that we asked? I think, Jenna, you had said it, but I want to repeat it. And then what are some of the words and phrases that we're seeing?
Yeah, so I mean, as Jenna already mentioned, obviously we wanted to create something where we could show appreciation globally, which is why we decided to do the word cloud, so that everyone can contribute. And I think Jenna already mentioned also that a word cloud, the way it works is it collects these word submissions for a topic or question, then presents them into a collection of words or a cloud. And then we can see the most frequently submitted words as the biggest ones, which is really cool. So on our word cloud, we asked the question, why are you grateful for Team Sterling? And we can see a lot of our popular words coming through are things like keeping us safe, work from home, employees first, collaboration, taking care of us. So I think, a lot of these submissions are really just both a testament to the environment that we're still currently living in with COVID and everything, but also, really showcase that we've remained a people first company throughout this whole time.
Well, it's a huge testament to us as a business too, and how we operate. So every value that we go out with, everything that we go out and we say that we are as a business, we live it internally. So everything that you just spoke about there, people first, safety, that's what we go out, and that's how we position ourselves. So why not? It's only better because we do it. We practice it every single day. So now we can go to clients, potential clients, partners, and show them that, yes, this is who we are, it's who we stand for. So I love that people, were putting that there. And those were some of the most popular responses. And I agree with all of those individuals. So 100% for sure. So two really good, just, practices, activities that we're doing internally for this entire month. And I'm looking forward to seeing how many more thank you shout outs we get. I think we'll definitely get a little bit more than last year for sure. It's just an exciting time to give that positive feedback to people. And then that word cloud too, just looking through it, everyone has access to this too. I think we had mentioned that on the show a little bit ago. So our employees can see this. We do have an area, and we're going to go into that a little bit more in a little bit, but we could see it. So I love that for sure.
You know what I love about that work? It's just making me think off topic, but we're obviously not in office. And when we were in office, like sometimes you're at companies that have like the values on their walls, yet you don't feel the values. Right. You're like, that's kind of laughable. But like, we don't have our values on the walls anymore because we're virtual. And like the word cloud is a testament that we live our values every day. Ashley, as you mentioned, because people are saying things that, are very, what am I trying to say? That are saying that they experience the values at Sterling, which is so like, so great. It just really is a testament to how we live our values.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct, because if you're thinking about that, the wall situation where things are propped up, it's word for word. What we're getting in this word cloud is actually, they're not our values word for word, but they're hitting on them. And it's that idea. It's that, what we're trying to approach and trying to accomplish.
So much more articulate than what I just said.
Soon. I mean, you'll get to this point soon, Jenna. You're on Sterling Live pretty much every week with me. So it just takes practice. So speaking of practice and new approaches to things, I do want to touch on now, we've got some new approaches to how we're empowering our employees a little bit more. So I actually almost just left the studio by accident. I'm letting you guys know that I'm here.
Don't
Don't
do
worry.
that.
I wanted to. If you saw my face like go like blank for a second, because I almost left you guys
Did
hanging
notice
here.
that for a second.
My bad. But I want to talk about we have a new approach for people leaders and employees. So Jenna, what have we recently put into place to help empower our people leaders to encourage this appreciation and praise?
Yeah. So, this year, what we've decided to do is use data. I mean, we're always using data, but now we're using data to create a little bit of healthy competition, I'll call it. So, we're able to take all the thank yous and kind of break that down into what it means per leader. Like, within PNC, like Robin, your team within PNC has submitted X amount of thank you badges compared to finance, and be able to have Robin encourage that down and like really ramp up the employees to feel that appreciation. So the other thing we did last year, we typed out all of the thank yous on our intranet. So we had like, what did I say? 2,500. We were like typing those in. We learned it was a manual process, but instead this year we're doing the numbers. So 2,500. Now we're seeing like we're at 300. We're at 400, we're at 500. So we can really see the impact instead of a big wall of words, which is impactful in a different way. But we're really leveraging data this time to give some insight into how our employees are feeling appreciative of one another.
I love that. So aside from just, our people leaders, just our employees in general, Ashley, how are we encouraging all of our employees to showcase this appreciation on a global scale?
Yeah. So, I mean, before we used to have employee appreciation walls in person at each of our locations where employees could, share different thank yous or appreciation notes for one another by actually physically posting it on a wall. And that was really great and people loved it, but it really didn't allow us to show appreciation to each other in that global capacity.
Right.
So, now that we're virtual first, we have this really great opportunity to actually engage employees more globally through these virtual appreciation campaigns. So we can utilize things like our intranet, which I mentioned before, where we know employees are going every day. We can communicate regularly to show them ways to appreciate each other through things like, the thank you note submissions that we're talking about, our word cloud. We can also utilize the technology we have in place, like Workday, to support a 21st century experience, which allows employees to say thank you virtually and also allows the managers to see the thanks their employees are receiving, which is actually a really cool feature. And that just wasn't in place with things like our in-person appreciation walls. Certainly managers could have gone up and read the thank you notes on the walls, but I'm not sure they would have, actually been able to capture that. So that's a cool thing we're doing in a virtual world, I guess.
Yeah, another one of those shifts, but one that makes such a huge impact. As we were prepping for this episode, I didn't know at first that, your managers did see the shout outs and the thank you. So that's one of those things where you find out and you're like, oh my God, it's like 10 times better. It's like, oh, it's great. Like, it's like other people are seeing it because like you feel good about yourself for sure. And it's so happy, but it's like, all right, now it kind of hits a couple of other layers. So people can see that. And that probably gives an extra boost too for a lot of our people leaders.
It does. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I just got all of these submissions in. Like, I'm going to go give out 5 now, or I'm going to go encourage my team. Like, we just saw this, like, let's go do it. So it definitely gives it that extra like boost there. So
I think that's why we see that the exponential numbers go up. I mean, not just because of the campaign, but it's the triggers that happen along with it. Like Ashley, my team, we ran a meeting. I was just reading all the thank yous within our own team. And it was like, I immediately went in and was like, I'm going to give thank you to this person or this person. It just continues, that effect.
It's encouraging for sure. So, and that's why I am thankful too for having, our internal systems like our intranet where a lot of this stuff is showcased. You can go and see it. So, because I'm the type of person too, where like, as much as I love when people give me feedback, I love giving feedback, but I also love seeing what people are saying about, people on my direct team, people that I'm just friends with within the organization. I love that too. So that's really awesome. Okay, so let's move on to our, our last kind of like subtopic of this overarching, employee appreciation topic. We have a couple of key differentiators, as an organization when it comes to employee appreciation. So I definitely want to call them out for sure. So Jenna, can you touched on this a little bit before, the data-driven approach. But with that approach, where are we seeing the most feedback and appreciation right now?
Yeah, so this is the fun stuff. So we were able to pull kind of the data a few days ago. So my data is already dated. But we are seeing the most thank you notes happening in Mumbai and Manila, which is not a surprise because we have the majority of our employees in those locations. So it's really great to see that that's where it's really strong, because you want it to be where the majority of your employees are. So it's great to see that they have quite a bit happening there.
Yeah, and it is no surprise, as much as it is one of our largest employee base. Our team members in Mumbai and Manila just on a day-to-day basis love giving feedback, and their culture is very strong. So I'm not surprised, and I do love seeing what they do just on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to this entire month, the day, things like that. So a lot to learn from them for sure.
Absolutely. No, we do see the trend. If we look over time, even past this campaign, it will always be Mumbai and Manila that have the largest, they are a very grateful culture, which I love.
Me too. Ashley, is there any other interesting data that we're seeing?
Yeah, so there's other ways we can slice the data, and one of which is actually how many thank you notes are being given and received by our different verticals or functions. So for example, currently we're seeing that the most thank you notes that are being given are actually by our fulfillment teams in Canada. And the most thank you notes being received are actually by our industrial, government, and education vertical. So it's it's really cool to see see this data coming in, and who's getting the most thank yous, who's giving the most. It's very interesting and insightful.
Well, I must say, I don't work too closely with our fulfillment team in Canada, but I do work very closely with our IGE vertical. So I'm not surprised at all that they're getting an influx of feedback, positive feedback. They are a phenomenal team to work with. But I love that data too, seeing, how many people are going out, giving a thank you, getting a thank you. It's very cool that your team can slice and dice it and look at verticals, regions, specific teams, things like that. So very cool. I know you guys are going to have a lot of fun over the coming weeks.
Really we will for sure.
So would love to see the end results for sure. All right. So one final question from me, and then I will open it up to our audience. But Jenna, why is it important for us to use a tool like Workday to help with this employee appreciation?
Yeah, Ashley, you said something that really resonated with me. You said the 21st century, modern day feel. I think that's exactly what Workday has really helped us to achieve. Being able to give things virtually, but it goes so much further than that. Workday allows us to capture, reviews and skill sets that employees want to enter on behalf of themselves. You can see everything within the profile, and it's global, so I think in a virtual space, you need to be utilizing things like Workday, not just for thank you notes, but to leverage your other processes and make them feel really modern. So I'm grateful that we have a team that's able to, really care about the experience and be yeah, absolutely, we can help enable those processes for you. But yeah, Workday is there to support us through that.
Absolutely. And just one minor plug here. We actually are hiring a Workday analyst. So you can see so we
Good for you, Caitlin. I love that.
You can check down a couple of posts if you're watching on LinkedIn, a couple of posts down. We are hiring a Workday analyst. So please feel free to apply if you are if you are interested. So those are all the questions that I have for the two of you. I do want to take a moment and remind our audience watching live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have any final questions for Jenna and Ashley, please go ahead and send them through. You'll just type them in the comment section on each platform, and I'll get them over to these two as I see fit as we wrap up the episode. So as we wait for any questions to come in, I do want to gather some final thoughts from the two of you. I had such a great time in this episode today. It's such an uplifting. I was smiling ear to ear the entire time. So I definitely want to gather some final thoughts for you to provide our audience with. So Ashley, I'll start with you here. Final thoughts for our audience.
Yeah, so I think, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier about having sort of this full year of appreciation. And I think our ideal state is where we don't have to actually create that campaign around it, that, we've built all these things and put all these things in place so that being appreciative to one another just comes kind of intuitively to both our employees and leaders. So yeah, that's really what we're working towards.
Mm-hmm. Jenna, final thoughts for our audience.
Ashley, I think you captured it perfectly. I do think that is our ideal state, right? And I think, it's important to recognize that sometimes you do need some forcing functions to get to that ideal state. And that forcing function is, our team with the campaigns and really getting our leaders and employees to really flex that appreciation muscle. But hopefully we can get over that 21-day habit making pattern and be grateful all the time.
Absolutely. Well, like I had said, this was an absolutely phenomenal episode. Still smiling. Love talking about stuff like this. It's so important to implement this into the culture, at your organization, whether you are watching now, working at Sterling, and or you're watching from another organization. This topic is crucial and it is so important, to keep the business moving forward, to keep your employees happy and to feel valued. That's super, super important. At the time, we don't have any further questions. But again, I absolutely loved this topic. I loved this conversation. So many good things to pull out. So yeah, we did. Well, here's a good shout out. So I did a shout out from on Facebook. The three of you are great ambassadors for Sterling. Thanks for the information, your energy and passion. I love all the smiles. So again, I appreciate that. That makes me really happy. So thank you. Someone just put that this was very insightful on LinkedIn. I'm very happy that you're all thinking that. So thanks so much for that. And quick, just kind of CTA for everyone, go show your gratitude to someone. If you work for Sterling, you have these internal ways to do it right now. If you don't work for Sterling, there's always an opportunity to go out and give thanks to someone, show your gratitude and everything like that. So I love appreciating our employees all year long. And I love to, continue to do so even when this episode ends. So Ashley and Jenna, thank you both so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I had a wonderful time. With that being said, I will catch everyone on the next episode of Sterling Live. But again, Jenna, Ashley, thank you so much.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.